Hi, Patch Drury, board certified hypnotherapist, dream analyst, and Daimon enthusiast. If you like these videos, check out my Patreon, link below. You can contribute to this work. I've had a couple of people ask variations of questions about the topic that I'm approaching in this video, so I thought it was time to get to it. In chaos magic, if anybody's ever looked into chaos magic, there's a operation called servitor creation, and basically what it means is you create a thought form, what some cultures would call a tulpa, and you imbue it with a purpose. So if you want to protect your home, you might create a thought form, a servitor, that you task with protecting your home. Or if you are looking for a job and you want to keep your name out there in a positive fashion, you might task a servitor with keeping your name out there and well looked upon. One time I created a servitor to help train my dog. And so servitor creation, obviously it's a part of chaos magic. It's not something that rational minds are going to respond to, probably. So if that's you, hey, welcome. Just approach this open-mindedly. But my thought was, with servitor creation, what if we applied that to the Daimon? And so obviously our Daimon already exists, so we don't have to create it. But what if we attempted to create a thought form for it, so a thought body, so that we could ask it to accomplish some things towards our purpose, towards our destiny, that occur to our ego mind. And where I think we have to be careful with this is our Daimon knows better than we do. It has access to intelligence that we don't have. And so when we ask it to accomplish something on our behalf towards the completion of our destiny, we kind of have to do so carefully, and kind of have to do so with a little bit of a caveat and say, this is what seems right to me. If this is right, will you please accomplish it? And so to that end, I think we just go through the basic servitor creation process, and the task we're giving it is the task that it already has, to bring our purpose, to bring our destiny to fruition. And we defer to its wisdom as we're doing this. So the first step is to give your servitor, your Daimon, a name. I've mentioned in a past video, my Daimon told me its name mentally, and a couple people pointed out, I shared the name in a past video, and a couple people pointed out, you probably shouldn't do that. And I have thought better of it since I did that, and like, you're right. This is something, a personal relationship between my Daimon and I. So I apologized to it, and I said, going forward, I will not share your name. The way that you can watch the video where I explain how I learned my Daimon's name. And so if you haven't been through that same process, if you haven't been given a name for your Daimon, what you can do is get a pendulum and just start asking your Daimon, can I call you this? Do you have a name? Do you have a name you prefer? Would you like to tell me your name some way, maybe in dreams or through divination or in my mind? Can I call you this? Can I call you this? Can I call you this? And if you've using the pendulum, you can get yes or no answers. You won't be able to use the pendulum to get the specific name. Like, the pendulum can only answer yes or no questions, but that can lead you towards, well, for now, here's what I'm going to call it. And what I would recommend is just make up a name, something that feels magical. Maybe don't call it Chuck, but make up a name that feels a little magical, that feels like it has a little gravitas, and ask via pendulum, can I call you this? And if it says no, say, can I call you something? And if it says yes, then just start working towards figuring out what that name is. Suggest other names. Suggest names like my soul, my subconscious, my Daimon. Just call it my Daimon. See if it's down with that. But so at any rate, come up with a name. And once you have a name, then you want to come up with what does it look like. When I say I'm creating a thought form for it, what do I think of when I see it? And a lot of times in chaos magic, and I think this is good advice, don't imagine a pre-existing deity or a pre-existing character, because you want to be clear who you're invoking in that moment. So if you're like, oh, my Daimon looks like Zeus, and you start picturing Zeus, or God forbid you call it Zeus, then the actual Zeus may not know that you're not calling on it. So calling on him. Create an image in your mind for what it could look like. And for a while, I played around with, well, maybe the Daimon just looks like me, but looks like me like at my potential, at my peak. Maybe it's me with really rock solid abs and a full, beautiful, lustrous head of hair. My hair's kind of thin, so my hair not so thin, and my beard beautiful with streaks of salt and pepper gray, and wearing the color that I look best in, and all these things. And I think we'll talk more about if the Daimon is a better version of you. We'll talk about that. But if you want to imagine it that way, then I think that's perfectly valid. Some people, when they're creating servitors, imagine them as animals, or maybe like a magical animal. So it's a crow, but it's a crow with a crown of fire. And so when I was first imagining what my Daimon might look like, for some reason the image of an octopus came into my head, and I don't have any special association with octopuses or octopi. And so I kind of kicked that around for a little bit. And then this very morning, I was doing an image search for Greek Daimon, and the image that brought up that I have never seen before, that I don't recall seeing before, was a Greek woman. And this is like one of those images that you see on pottery, that it's, that kind of gold and black image that we're all familiar with as being Greek art. This woman reclining, and floating above her was an octopus. And when I saw it, I was like, what the like, I couldn't believe it. And so I dug in to figure out what this image was. And this image, it said sea Daimon. It was a sea Daimon. And I don't have any particular association or affinity for the sea, S-E-A, which is what it called it, but I am wanting to see, S-E-E, my Daimon. So this is a way to see the Daimon. And I think the subconscious and the Daimon and the spirit, it has that kind of dad sense of humor that likes plays on words and likes puns. And so this was especially like meaningful to me this morning. So when I picture my Daimon now, I'm going to picture it as an octopus. Maybe an octopus with wings, maybe an octopus with a crown of fire, maybe an octopus with flaming eyes. I don't know, but an octopus. So you've got your name, you've got what it looks like. And then next, with a servitor, you would give it a job. Like, why is it being created? But our Daimon already has a job. Our Daimon is to keep us on the path of our destiny, to help us become what we could be. And so I think it's important to let the Daimon keep its job. But if things occur to us as our ego consciousness, like, if I had this software program, I could really do the work I'm trying to do better. Or if I could meet this person, or if I had this kind of patron, like there are things that we can think of that we can imagine helping us move towards who we're supposed to be. And I think it's okay to ask the Daimon for those things. So in this sense, the servitor creation is kind of like praying. Like the Daimon absolutely does not have to do this. It doesn't have to obey you the way chaos magicians would say that a servitor has to obey you. Like, Daimon doesn't have to, but you can ask. You should ask. It wants you to ask, because asking is an acknowledgement of it and an acknowledgement of that relationship. So give it a task, give it multiple tasks. It doesn't have to be one. And then with a servitor, you house it somewhere. You can house it in a part of your body, like your knuckle or your elbow, or you can house it somewhere off your body, like in a book or in some kind of totem, in a statue, uh, in a glass. This glass has my son's tooth in it. So you could house it in your son's tooth. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll do that. And so you house it somewhere. And then when you want to call it to do its work, you basically touch that thing where it's housed. And then basically you call it forth. And we'll talk about the calling it forth process. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to feed it something. And it can be anything, but you just have to decide before you do it what you're feeding it. And you have to make sure it gets that, or it could die. And so you could feed it something physical, like, oh, you're going to get sugar water. I'm going to pour sugar water on my knuckle where you live, and that's how I'm going to feed you. Or you could say, you know, you're going to be fed by gratitude. The gratitude that I feel for living my purpose, you're going to be fed by that. Or you're going to be fed by the fulfillment that I feel when my purpose is realized. So it doesn't matter what it is, but decide what you're going to feed it. And then also, you're housing it somewhere physical, but with servitor creation, they also recommend imagine it on kind of a landscape. Like, where does it live in the imaginal realm? And so with an octopus, obviously, if I go with an octopus, it'd be very easy to picture it in the depths of the ocean. Or the servitor I created that trained my dog, it lived on a snowy hillside. And so when I pictured it, I would picture it walking through the snow. And so come up with an imaginal place that it lives, so that when you touch wherever it lives and you call it forward, you're closing your eyes and you're imagining it in its habitat. And then with a servitor, there's a recommendation that you have a kill process, so that it doesn't live beyond the time that you want it to live, so that when it's achieved its purpose, you can give it rest. There's some thought that a thought form unattended to can kind of take on a life of its own. I think the Daimon we don't require like a kill process or a kill switch, because we don't want to kill it. We want it to live on, and it will live on beyond this manifestation that we lend to it. So I don't think it's necessary to install like a kill switch like you would with a servitor. But let's get to the prayer. When you call it forward, you need to call it by name. Say its name, my Daimon, and I ask you to come forward and do this thing, and you list the thing. I come forward and secure a way for me to get this this piece of software, so that I can further my destiny, and make it clear in saying this, that like, this is, I'm leaving this up to you. I want this, but I trust you. So you do what you think is right. And if you do this, I will continue to feed you. Is almost kind of like a sacrifice at this point. Like we would make sacrifices to the gods or to a god. I will feed you via this thing. And then thank you for working on my behalf. Thank you for doing this work. And the initial activation, I would write all that down. I'd write it down on a piece of paper, figure out where your Daimon is going to live, and then just activate it by touching where it lives and reading all this out, reading its name, reading its purpose, reading what it feeds on, thank it. And then that's the activation. And then at any time that you want to call it forth to do something, then I don't think you have to read the whole thing, but I think you need to be very clear with the instructions. Like, Daimon, I'm calling you forward to whisper my name in these rooms, so that I can move closer to what I'm supposed to be doing. as long as this lines up with your view of my will. Thank you for this. Thank you for being on my side. Thank you for guiding me. Thank you for being willing to work on my behalf. Thank you. Please do this. And then you send it on its way. So this is the idea. It's based on servitor creation, but it's not servitor creation because the daemon already exists. And you could call it a servitor. Maybe it exists to serve you. I think more correctly, it exists to serve destiny, to serve your destiny. This is just, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like I said, a couple of people have asked about this topic in varying ways. So if anybody has experience with servitor creation, I'd love to hear it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on where the daimon and the servitor kind of, what's the Venn diagram that they occupy together. Let me hear your thoughts. My dog is barking. As you can see, the servitor I created to train my dog, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But anyway, it's kind of great that he barked right there. That's a nice little way to end this video. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.